Political killings have been rife in the country for several years now, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, where the battle for power, influence and money has led to numerous murders. Now, a News 24 special report focusing on political assassinations titled Killing Councillors delves into these violent crimes intended to establish political power with a sharp focus on victims' names, voices of families and the aftermath of the killings. Let's now bring in the politics reporter at News 24, Soyiso Maliti. Soyiso, thank you for making time for us. Maybe let's start with the latest, because KZN clearly continues to be the killing field. Is the killing of Mkambatini Municipality Councillor Mzwandile Shandu last month the latest one, or is there something else that's happened after that?
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your viewers. In fact, it's not the latest incident of political violence, the incident you're referring to about the Mkambatini councillor. Just on Friday, NFP councillor Zulu in Nongoma had visited her church somewhere in the Nongoma area and left her husband at home. And apparently the assailants barged into the house and wanted to find out where her whereabouts are, and the husband said he doesn't know, and they shot him dead instead of her. So political violence in KZN continues unabated. Sure.
I remember the provincial Salga once issued a report not so long ago which showed that about 17 councillors had been assassinated since last September, but I imagine that number must have increased.
It has risen to 20 or 21 with the Mkambatini ANC councillor, who apparently had survived an earlier attempt a month prior to that. So it just goes to show that these incidents of political violence are not yielding.
Mm-hmm. This is clearly a crisis, and I wonder what your observation has been of how government is responding. We have an interministerial committee on political killings in KwaZulu-Natal. Is that helping at all?
Well, it depends who you're asking. Police Minister Begitele, who chairs the interministerial committee, will tell you that they've made over more than 100 arrests since 2011 in relation to about 150 killings of political figures. But someone like Merita Haas, an anti-crime expert and someone who's vehemently opposed to Begitele, will tell you that this is not the case. She argues that he has underreported these numbers to portray as though the police are doing something on it. So what we did is we called Minister Begitele to the side to specifically ask him how he plans to be addressing to address political violence in KZN, and we asked him if they will try to use grabbers, and he said they may or they may not, and he wouldn't answer that question. So if you ask anti-crime activists, on the one hand, they will tell you that Minister Tele and SAPS are not doing enough, but if you ask Minister Tele, he will tell you that they are doing the best they can, and that the arrests show that they are working hard.
Mm-hmm. I noticed on one of your reports that an assassination is colloquially referred to as a tournament. What's the reason behind that?
So apparently in isiZulu, a tournament was called Steke, and it's a colloquial term to refer to killings in the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. So it shows that the victims and even the people behind the murders are debased, and taking a life is a second thought to them. Mm. So in addition to that term, to the term of the tournament, councillors were referring to the numbers game, which is no confidence, motions of no confidence. They were telling Minister Begitele in a closed meeting that ever since motions of no confidence were introduced in Nongoma, the killing started, and they call it numbers game.
Mm-hmm. How much are people being paid for these contract killings, and do we know where these people are sourced from? Because it looks like contract killings have really become a career in the country. It's become so cheap and easy to eliminate people.
Minister Kele told councillors that most of these shooters are from the taxi industry, and even the IFP mayor of the district mayor of the IFP in the north said that instead of procuring bodyguards, councillors would contract inkabi or shooters or assassins to not only guard them but to take care of to eliminate their opponents.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wasn't given to answer your question about figures. I wasn't given a specific figure, but one of the sources I spoke to said it can range from anything between 50 to 100,000 or upwards.
Yeah,
depending on the stature of the political figure.
Yeah. So this special report on News 24 doesn't only focus on the killings themselves, because often we report about the numbers, we report about the violence and sometimes how brazen it is, but the reality is there are names, there are families, there are consequences as a result of what we see in KwaZulu-Natal and other parts of the country. What have you been able to get when you look at the victims, the background stories, and of course the consequences of these political killings?
One example that stood out for me is the late Councillor Lombo, who was gunned down in 2021. He has 9 children and with different mothers. And so his sister was telling me that they've been struggling to maintain the lives of these children. So you can imagine someone with 9 children and the mothers who most of whom were not employed when he was a councillor. Now suddenly they have to look after these children. So and another councillor who had been feeding 5 children, one of whom is a UCT student. And if you're familiar with UCT students, with UCT fees, it's an expensive university, so it changes the lives of the victims' families dramatically.
Yeah. Politics reporter at News 24, Soyiso Maliti, thank you for speaking to us this morning.